here at Browns Island for the Festival of the River, which is a 3-day extravaganza of art and music and the environment, all focused on the James River and on the health of the watersheds that lead to the Chesapeake Bay.
One of the things that's really exciting about contemporary art is that it's not just contained within the walls of institutions, but also can move out into the city and into our lives in really exciting ways.
This is one of the first times that I know of where a scuba regulator has been used as a musical instrument, and so we are really just going to see how it goes.
This is an experimental work, totally conceived for this site and this festival. I actually won't see it because I'll be experiencing it from the bottom of the James River.
Survivors of last died through Amphibious meet our companions here in the James River, above us in the air and on land. You, a collective of species breathing with us the flow of water past your gills, the absorption of oxygen through your skin, the breath you inhale, the scuba gear, exhale through wind instruments, the rising and falling of your chest, the feeling of breath entering your nostrils, the subtle movements of your abdomen in and out. From the fall line of the James River, and acknowledge the other names by which it is known. Above the fall line, the Mountain River. Below the fall, the Palisades. We acknowledge the people that have lived on its shores for 12,000 years, and all of the species who have lived alongside them. Imagine this river forming in the Appalachian Mountains, flowing into Chesapeake Bay, joined by 150 other rivers and streams, towards the Atlantic Ocean. We invite all of you to join us in this meditation with the James River. To bring your attention to your breath, but to return to it, no matter what arises in the mind. Practice with us, staying present in your body and on this site, where you are sitting, standing, swimming, flying, and to return your attention to all that unfolds around us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for cultivating your amphibiousness.
It all means nothing if you don't stand up for something. And now stand up for you.
Lots of people came out to help clean up the James and to really try to take care of the island and the land around it and the water as well. So there were educational activities, environmental cleanup, and then a series of activities that ranged from bands performing to an oyster shucker to these 3 different performances that are sequencing through the afternoon.
We live in an age of information.
The ICA is one of the many institutions that have come together to put the festival on, and specifically we're partnering with the Symphony and Sound Arts Richmond to co-commission 3 performances that are happening on and around the island today.
I will cue the field recording track.
Hope Ginsburg, in collaboration with Josh Quarles as composer, created a series of projects called land dives. She thinks of them as performative actions, and participants in the land dive projects suit up in full scuba gear and they meditate on land or in water, and she uses that as a way to call attention to the particular ecologies of these sites, and in many cases also to help us think about issues related to climate change and the ways that climate change is affecting our landscapes and also those all of us who inhabit the planet.
I was on a dive off the coast of Guanaca, Puerto Rico, not long after I learned to scuba dive. And I was in shallow water, and I was surrounded by sea fans and sea whips that were moving back and forth with the current of the ocean. And it just so happened that the timing of their movement was exactly timed to my inhales and exhales. There was this aha moment of just kind of breathing with this ocean. Very visceral, temporal experience that helped me make the connection between diving and meditation. When I learned to scuba dive, it was a time in my life where I was doing some healing of my own. So this constellation of healing and breathing and diving really formed in the early days of my time as a diver. And then in a real kind of nitty-gritty way, I started off thinking about making a very specific video project for which I wanted a group of people either meditating or doing yoga on land with scuba gear. And in order to get that shot, I had to orient a group of people to scuba gear and meditation, and I was right back in that space where I work, which is learning with other people, knowledge exchange. The actual meditation with the scuba gear was so compelling as a physical experience, as an awareness experience, that the project really took off from there.
I got involved with Hope some time ago. I'm kind of the diving coordinator. I'm the one who is making sure everything's working fine. I'm working as a safety diver to make sure that everything goes well and we don't have any problems in the water.
When the opportunity arose to be part of Hope Ginsburg's piece, then I said, sure, I'd love to do that. And it's important to me to be committed to this project in that way as well, to use this opportunity working with the ICA to make a serious point about the health of the river. So what's unusual about this is we're wearing full face masks rather than just the usual oxygen breathers. And that also enables us to have microphones in our insides of the masks, so we can press a button and talk to the bank, which is not something you can normally do if you're scuba diving. So part of this is to communicate our breath back to the bank where it gets mixed with the sound being created by the musical instruments and forms one big piece, one big impression. Very meditative.
Rising and falling of the chest, the feeling of breath entering your nostrils.
When I learned about the technology of the full face scuba mask, I was really interested in thinking about how that could work for a project. What this piece does is it asks us to focus on amphibiousness. So there's a land dive team meditating on land, and there's an amphibious dive team, 3 divers who actually go into the river to send sound back to the mix. And there's also a wind ensemble of 9 players who are, in effect, also meditating with us. They're breathing through their instruments, the land divers are breathing through their scuba gear, and the whole piece is a meditation with the James River.
I tried to come up with music that would sort of be kind of minimalist so that the breathing and the sound of the water and the nature sounds would kind of all come together. Doing something outside my comfort zone, kind of doing something new and different, which is always, you know, it's an adventure, so it's fun.
To me, this piece is a little bit more of deciding where our place is in that environment worldwide and what we do and how we fit into the environment as one of the biggest influencers of it nowadays. It's more of a comment on how we should be stewards of the ecology rather than the largest influencers in so many bad ways.
I think all of those who were gathered to witness the performance probably had a really profound experience, because the piece is so much about kind of settling us, helping us pay attention to the landscape, and to really understand, in this case, the ecology of the James River and the creatures that live in and around it in a really exciting new way. Richmond is obviously a city that was deeply shaped by the James. You know, the James is one of the kind of defining features of the city, and it felt really important to create an opportunity for artists to respond to this place as well as to our wider city. And we wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to help people have a really kind of a special experience of this site that would bring them out to the river and then create an experience built in response to the river that would help them think about this place in new ways.